Transforming Lessons with the SAMR Model. Hi, everybody. I'm Meg Ormiston. You can reach me at meg@megormiston.com or on Twitter at Meg, O-R-M-I. I'm happy to present this because I know the SAMR model works. And this is not my model. I have to give credit where credit is due. Dr. Ruben Pentendura, I'm going to give that a try, is who we should credit for the SAMR model. He is a specialist in educational technology. He's a professor, and he has taken his research and brought it to K-12 education. And the SAMR model is his. I'm here to talk about application of his awesome model to the classroom. So the SAMR model, I don't love it. We've tried in a couple of districts I worked with, tried to come up with a different acronym, but when it comes down to it, it works. This is the SAMR model. So let's talk about it. Substitution is the lowest level, meaning you really didn't change anything. You just substituted technology. So for example, at the substitution level, you have a novel, and now we're going to have that same novel on a Kindle or an iPad or a computer. You really haven't changed anything. It's just a substitution, okay? So below substitution is paper pencil. Now, before everybody gets all upset, I know there's a place for paper pencil. I understand that. I also, before you get upset, this is not a ladder that you have to climb, and then once you get up to redefinition, you're going to stay up there all the time. No, there's times that substitution is all you need. So don't feel like you have to see me coming down the hall and be like, I'm not at redefinition. Don't worry about it. But what this model does is it gives us language across a school or a district to talk about teaching and learning with technology. I don't want you to get stuck in augmentation and modification. Don't even think about those words. But you see the dotted line that goes across the middle of this diagram? That's called teaching above the line. We want to try to get things above the line. And I'm going to define this in what this looks like in the classroom and different things. Now, I don't even use the term redefinition. I actually use the term get it out the door. Meaning, did that project that students worked on, did it reach an authentic audience beyond the walls of your classroom? And I'll explain that in a lot of depth, but to me, that's the most important thing. Did that student project get to a broader audience? Not going to happen every day. I completely understand that, but that's what I'm talking about with teaching and learning. And let me illustrate that for you. This is the SAMR model that Ruben has created, and it has now been modified by the digital learning team to talk about how it applies to Google Earth. I thought instead of words, this is too wordy for me, I broke it down into more pictures. So at the substitution level, Google Earth, you all love Google Earth. You've all looked at your house. It's awesome. So we know what Google Earth, the piece of software, can do. But now let's kind of run it through the SAMR model. All right. So if you use Google Earth instead of an atlas, that's really just substituting. I mean, it's just, you didn't really change what you were doing. Okay. Now if you augmented, have actually started to use the layers that are within Google Earth. There's all different layers, everything from borders, labels, places, all those things. That would be, you've augmented your lesson slightly that way. Modification, you use the rulers to measure the distance. That would be really difficult to do in an atlas. So you've modified your purpose of your lesson. But now, redefinition, or get it out the door, meaning your student work reaches an authentic audience. So your students create a narrated tour of whatever you're studying, and they share it beyond the walls of the classroom, hopefully to a global community. So you can make sightseeing trips all the way through Google Earth and then narrate them and share them beyond the walls of your classroom. That to me is redefinition, and that is get it out the door. This came over Twitter one day, and I just had to grab it. A great example of why we need to move toward redefinition and not substitution. That is funny. All right. Now, I very specifically picked examples at K2 because I want you to see what very young students can do. Because if they can do it, your students can do it. So I turned to this Now Classrooms project is a project I'm working with how many people do we have? 42 awesome teachers, coaches, superintendents, assistant soups. We're all coming together and we're all talking about redefining lessons and creating classrooms where you can go visit real stuff in action. So this is a blog post about creating a global community. And I love to showcase awesome teachers. And Alyssa Blake is an instructional coach in a primary building. So I'm going to highlight her today as she's working with various teachers to show what SAMR model means. Please follow her on Twitter. She's awesome. If I'm ever in another school and somebody says, hey, do you have an idea for something? I immediately go and find Alyssa's thread hashtag and I just look for some ideas. She's full of them and she tweets away. Love it. So this blog post is about the teacher wanted to do a writing assignment. They wanted to do like a pen pal kind of thing, but they wanted to bump it up a little bit. And that's just a picture. But now we go on. They have embraced, in this school district, they have embraced connecting beyond the walls of the classroom to a broader community. And they've done so much work. So this is spring. They've had a lot of experience with connecting to the authentic audience already. And so they decided that they would use social media, and so they wanted to blog in the safe way to blog. They, in this district, they are using Seesaw, which I will introduce in a little while. Seesaw for them has been incredible. And they have now, Seesaw just recently added a blogging feature. So now that feature is already built. They already are using Seesaw. Now they're just using the blogging feature to reach peers in other countries. And so she captures screencasts. Alyssa is awesome at using images of all types. And you can see a student in Hong Kong and a student here in the States. And they happen to have, in their school, they have a variety of different devices. Here, I think we're seeing all iPads, but they have quite a mix of devices. And then through this blog post, the resources, everything that I'm showing you is on your resource list. So don't worry about writing everything down. All the links are there. So this blog post that Alyssa explains everything, you already have it on your resource list. So they're calling them blog buddies in Hong Kong. And so they were so excited. And then they go on to talk about the different technology they used and so on and so forth. And Seesaw is Seesaw for schools. There's Seesaw, which is free. And then there's Seesaw for schools. They started with the free. They were happy for a couple of months. And then as more and more teachers got on board, they went over to the Seesaw for schools. And they told me it was quite affordable. I can't tell you exactly how much it is. I tried to look around and it said I had to call for a quote. So they felt, with the one thing I really liked with Seesaw for schools is that the student could keep their work over time. If you work on the free one, it's only for 1 year. So I thought that would be really interesting. And they also have been studying their parent engagement statistics. So Seesaw, what it is a place, well, now to do blogging, as we learned, but it is for students to create their own portfolio of their work, and then they can share it with parents, other teachers, whoever. This district where Alyssa is, the parents love it because they're seeing the authentic things that students are doing in class. There's apps. I found 2 apps. This is the class app. And so this is downloaded onto their iPads, and this is how the students access their Seesaw account. And then there also is a parent app. And I think Alyssa told me most of the parents just use it right on their cell phones. But they love the access to the authentic student projects. This is right off Seesaw's website. And this is the parent involvement. In the district that Alyssa works in, they speak many, many different languages. It's somewhere between 30 and 35 different languages, the families. And that's why pictures have been so important for those families, because then because they have the picture, the parent can now ask about the projects that they were doing at school. So I thought this was really interesting that this head of school talked about the transparency in the conversations. Reaching the parent community, and again, this can be on any device. I don't think there's a limit to that. I love that this assistant principal said there hasn't been one negative comment with 740 students. That's exciting. So you have student portfolios K through 12, real-time insights into your school, and with Seesaw for School, that's the centralized setup, management, and I'm not sure what else. Oh, the statistics. So you can see our parents really tuning in. I thought that was very interesting. So a little sidebar, I wanted you to know about Seesaw. And I'll tell you what Lish has shared with me is now that students are sharing their work, the teachers are modifying the assignments that they're asking students to do to make them more engaging, more exciting, more visual. That's a great kind of sidebar. Another example from first grade of a poetry unit. And this awesome teacher in first grade Blogspot, they use Blogspot for this one, but the video is one video I'd love you to, after this session, watch this video about first graders going from QR codes to poetry books to writing poetry to commenting on each other's poetry, and then the final culminating event is they go out and do a poetry jam with another class. But before they go out, this teacher's obviously very connected on Twitter and other social media. She tweeted it out. By the time they get back to the classroom, they've had a message from every single continent. I mean, their poetry jam could be 45 minutes to an hour, I'm guessing, and they'd already their work had already reached all the continents. How exciting for your students. That's what I mean by redefinition. Student work reaches an authentic audience. Okay, big focus on product creation, student product creation, where students are building and making things they're proud to share with an authentic audience. Back to Alyssa. I love this. They have a green screen. They actually painted a wall in their library green, and I didn't notice this before, but they must have a green rug also. I love the picture with the boy and the zebra. Isn't that funny? And so with the green screen, basically they use an app called Doink. I'm not sure what's the best way to say it. But what it does is it takes out anything that's green and it puts the picture. So look in the upper left-hand corner where you've got the zebras. They filmed that, the kids in front of the green screen. Then the app pulls out the green and you put in the picture. So the kids have to kind of pose. You see in the right and of course the bottom where he's posing based on the picture. How fun is that? I really want to dig in and do more with that. There she is again. You got to follow her. D60 Homes Tech. And again, this link is on yours, including the link to some of their projects. They're in Spanish. They're hilarious. I can't even understand them, but they're that funny. And I'll show you an example in a moment. So they did some green screen. What is the assignment? The assignment is to research animals. We do so much research, but instead of always writing a paper, let's do something different. So what they did is they took their research and then they did the green screen, but then they wanted to also do something else. So wait, I think I might have the green screen fun. I might have it out of order, but oh, okay. So what they did is after they did their research, they drew pictures and then they had to explain their research. It's hard to see in this picture, but there's a black line by the mouth. They used an app called Chatterpix. I'll show you that in a minute. And what it does is after the student, so they did a drawing, they drew it on paper, they took a picture of it with their iPad and brought it into Chatterpix. And then what Chatterpix does is it lets you make that line, and then that becomes the mouth, and the student's voice comes out of the mouth. It's so much fun to play at home. Chatterpix is made by the group Duck Duck Moose. As you can see on the right, Duck Duck Moose has lots to pick from. I have not played with many of those, but Chatterpix is absolutely one of my very favorites. So this is a great example of a lesson that could have stopped at substitution or maybe modification, but by taking it to their seesaw and having Alyssa tweet it out, their authentic work reached a broader audience. That's where the SAMR comes in, where you can see that where the teacher, she had just stopped at the template on paper with no tack or just used the Chatterpix. That would have been, okay. But it's the SAMR that gets it to the top. So just be thinking about that. I couldn't resist these pictures. I'm thinking, if these kids are doing this in first grade, imagine what they can produce by the time they get to middle school, high school. It's so exciting to think about. And they have data to prove that people are looking at their work. If I was logged into Alyssa's account, she actually could see exactly who looked at, or how many people looked at those tweets. And the kids love to check her Twitter to see how many likes their picture had, and so on and so forth. As I had to go find this picture. I couldn't find it, and I laughed. You have to know her to know how funny this is. I have no idea how they did it. It's definitely green screen involved, but where they are holding on to Superman's cape. Love it. All right, we got to stop. We've got to change. We have to change what we're asking students to do. We have to stop guiding them and saying, I need one slide that's your introduction slide, one slide that's this. Give them an opportunity to be creative, and they'll have fun, and you don't have to look at bad 1980s clip art. We, the teachers, have to change. We have to get students to creating student products to reach a broader audience. There's lots of ways that people have created SAMR. This is just one, but the SAMR truly works across schools and districts to help get a common language around technology integration. So, thank you for joining me for the SAMR model, and it really works. So I hope that you will enjoy it, and don't forget all those resources that I've also made for you. Have a great day.